Hello and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan Traver. I'm here with my co-hosts Ethan McShane and Josh Richter, along with our special guest here, my father,
champion. Not that special.
my father, and the champion of our league this year.
Yeah, man.
Paul freaking Traver.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be champion? How does it feel to be champion?
The Rev, the pastor.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, I have to be honest with you. I was absolutely shocked that I won. I really was. It amazed me that happened. So I don't win many things, man. I don't get to win many things. So I felt good.
Yeah. And honestly, like I felt it coming after like your sixth win in a row. Yeah. I was going, oh crap. Like he's in my side of the bracket.
We'll have to time to ourselves. I remember it's like, because unfortunately I was your first win, but I was like, hey, you're 0-4, 0-3 at the time. I'm like, he's fourth in the league in points. Yeah. It will bounce back eventually. Yeah.
And wow. I didn't even see that. I didn't see that, Richter. All I saw was a big fat egg that wasn't coming out. I was like, what is wrong? I was frustrated. Ask Ryan. I'd send Ryan messages.
Oh, yeah.
No. What is happening? Why aren't I scoring any points? And it was frustrating.
Yeah, me and my dad do this like weekly meeting where we get together and talk. And for the first 4 weeks of the season, that's all I heard was I almost pulled it out. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Like I just lost by a couple points.
Yeah.
And then, he started winning and every week was like, yeah, I pulled it off this week. I pulled it. I'm like, you're winning by like 50 points.
Yeah, no kidding, guys.
Like you're winning
when
by
I ended up 500,
points.
I said, okay, when's the bottom going to drop out?
Yeah.
Because remember, I'm a Vikings fan. So it's like, you start going like this and you're like, yes. Okay, when's the wings going to come off the plane? That's what I thought. And it was just one of those things where every single week was, what is happening? And you guys will notice I didn't change my lineup much. Other than the fact if those guys were out on a bye, I switched it up, but it just seemed like, JT, the rest of them, they just kept pounding. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to mess with it.
Yeah. And even when JT was out on a bye week, you still smoked him. Like whoever you played.
I don't know.
Like, oh my gosh.
Crazy. It just lined up perfect.
I want to go to.
Oh, go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
So I want to get to the point where he's like, I didn't have to draft my lineup much. I think we as a collective should be ashamed of ourselves for somehow letting you get Jonathan Taylor and Najee Harris. Because
we didn't predict that.
We're like, why do we do this? Meanwhile, I'm dealing with Allen Robinson for 4 weeks, and it's just.
Oh my god!
But see, you guys know. Listen. You guys know one of the craziest things in this world is the idea of fantasy football. Now, I come from a generation where, man, we were way before collective bargaining agreements, free agency. I really do miss the idea of a franchise. In fact, I'll go back and say this. We got a guy here in our church that is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but he's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan because his great grandfather was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And it was season tickets handed down from generation to generation. And you're just going, man, that hardly happens anymore. So coming into this free agency thing, and then you get this fantasy football thing, and you get this stuff, you guys know from 1 year to the next, 1 week to the next, those guys aren't going to perform like you want them to perform. To ask Ryan how many times I'd listen to the prognosticators, the so-called money makers to tell me who's hot.
Yep.
And every single week they failed. And I'm like, I am not listening to you guys anymore. You guys forget it. I'm just going to plug this guy in and see what happens. And if he does well, I'm sure he'll do well next week. And for whatever reason they did. But you'll also notice my lineup, man, I had 0 receivers. I had Higgins and I had Thielen. That was it.
And honestly, like we kind of evaluated the teams, me and Josh did at the beginning of the season. And you were nowhere near the top because you didn't have receivers.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, Jonathan Taylor's going to do all right. know, Najee's going to be the workhorse back in Pittsburgh.
And obviously Josh Allen.
And Josh Allen. And you got Travis Kelce. And we're like, okay, but there's one big hole in your team, and that's the wide receivers.
Right.
And you didn't have depth. So your two flex spots and your wide receivers were just not there. And throughout the year, you know, you had injuries to CEH, which Darrell Williams, you brought him in and he did fantastic as, you know, one of your flex players.
Right.
And, you know, there was a couple others that just ended up coming up on your team.
Elijah Mitchell
were either
the big one I want to
Elijah.
Exactly.
That was another one. That was a big iffy when I picked him up because I knew he was injury prone. And I thought, oh man, what am I going to do? But to be honest, when I came into the draft, there were 3 guys that I really had my eyes on because I had JT last year. No, I didn't have JT last year. I had his
did you have Naeem Hines?
Yeah, I had Hines. Yeah. So I was looking at JT. I said, I want to get JT if I can, but I knew I wanted Josh Allen. That was the one quarterback I wanted. He was on my list from the beginning. And so when I got him, I said, okay, I'm good. I don't need anybody else. And well, obviously he proved that. Man, it was crazy.
Death helps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, it was fun. It was a fun season. I enjoyed going week to week. I just, honestly, guys, I was shocked when I got to that last game before the playoffs. I played Ryan, ended up first. And I said, okay, how did that happen? And then I knew going against Ethan, I said, oh crap, here we go.
Oh yeah.
And if he wins, he's going to rub it in. I'll never hear the end of it. I love you, man. It's all right here.
It's called we will never hear the end of it.
That's right.
Yeah, all of us will never hear the end of it.
I will say like the big thing, and it's something Ryan and I talked about the entire season, eventually Ethan too, was it started becoming the running back apocalypse midway through the year.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like what
Derrick
really
Henry
helped,
and a bunch of others.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, we did a Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey swap. I had Antonio Gibson lose to mediocrity, and then there's so many running backs like going down, but here comes Najee and JT, and that ends up being the difference within the entire league.
Yeah, exactly. And who would have thought? I mean, who would have thought Henry going down like he did? Who would have thought any one of them? These premier players just falling apart. I would have never imagined.
I fully like believe that if Henry hadn't gone down, he would have made a historic season. He went down in week 6, and guess where he ranked at week 18? He ranked number 9 at week 18. Yeah, and he went down in week 6.
So we'll have to.
Holy cow!
We will be mentioning this in future episodes, but we actually statted out basically every usable quarterback, receiver, running back, defense, tight ends. And Derrick Henry was, I think, like running back like 12 and only playing in like 8 games.
Yeah. He had 948 yards or something. I mean, that's 900 yards. He could have easily, now I'm not saying easily, anything could have happened, but he was on pace for at least 20, 21, 22. Sure.
Yeah.
Holy cow. He would have smashed the record if he would have kept going. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
But JT and Najee were really like your base.
They really were.
They were the prime people in your lineup that kept you going.
Yeah.
And some surprise underdogs were Thielen and Higgins.
Especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the emergence of Jamar. So
well, and that's the funny thing. Crazy. When the actual official NFL season or the playoff season began, at that time our season was over. Well, not quite. I mean, we had 2 more games left in the regular season, but my point was Higgins throughout the playoffs has kind of dropped into the back and Chase has come forward. And watching those 2 playoff games so far, you hardly hear Higgins' name being mentioned. But up to that point, he was involved in a lot of stuff, and it was really nice. But rightfully so, Chase is taking off with it. So
Chase is a animal.
Yeah. You got Chase, you got Jefferson on the Vikings, and Cup. Dude, Cup. Oh my gosh.
Team Cooper Cup over here.
Yeah.
The other side of the bucket.
Yeah,
he was your money. He was your money. Yeah. Now, will he repeat that next year? That's my frustration sometimes with fantasy football. It's like, will he do the same thing? I think he can.
I think he'll still be a stud next year. He may not have, the triple crown like he did this year.
Yeah.
But I think he'll have a stud year next year.
You know what I like about him? He's a slot guy that he's elusive. He looks small. He looks insignificant. I mean, come on, with a name like Cooper Cup. Really, that's the kind of name you make fun of on the playground. But anyways, no offense. So he's got this name. He doesn't look like these amazing receivers that are out there. They're 6 foot, and whatever. But the guy is fast. He's slick. He knows how to make a break. He runs perfect routes. He does all kinds of stuff. And it's refreshing to watch. I enjoy it.
That's my favorite thing. Looking like George Kittle in a
absolutely. Body. I'm so glad the Rams won. Oh, dude, I'm so glad they won.
Rams are winning the Super Bowl. Sorry.
I want to.
Yet. Rams are winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, being an NFC North guy, Vikings fan all my life, I want to see Matthew Stafford win a Super Bowl.
I agree. He deserves it. Of all the guys
being on the Lions for all those years, being on crappy teams, being the butt of the joke at the NFC North because he is such a star player and he has a crappy team around him.
Right.
Finally having a team that can win a Super Bowl.
Right.
That can take him all the way. And he has that full team around him, the defense and the offense. And I want him to win it. I want him to win.
But what about Cam Akers? Cam Akers was that one piece they still needed. And the guy, what was it, an 11-month recovery for an Achilles tear?
It was
he did it in 8
recovery.
Oh, he did it in 5. But I thought it was longer. Wasn't it 8 months that is normal?
It was
something
projected.
like that.
It was 8 months.
Yeah, usually you're out for almost a year.
Dude, the guy came back and showed he had no hesitation. Yeah. He was a game changer. It was good. But they still had Michelle, so that was cool. They could have pulled that off as a 1-2 thing. I do. I think they've got I agree with you, Ethan. I think as far as the NFC is concerned, I think they'll be playing at home against the Niners. And is this the first or second team in the NFL that will actually host the Super Bowl in their home field?
It will be the second.
I think it's a second time.
Tampa
well, if the Rams actually
they win, yes, you're right. If they win,
I
think it'll be their first.
Oh well, technically because Tampa was the away team.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well,
as technical as it. It was still their field.
They would need it to be Cincy.
Yeah.
It would have to be if the Rams played Cincy for them to get the home.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
But I'm still for some reason my gut feeling is telling me Cincy and San Francisco I still don't know. I'm kind of big on the San Francisco train at the moment.
Yeah.
It's been upsets.
Yeah.
Like 3 out of 4 in the divisional round. 3 out of 4 upsets. Almost. That's why I wish the Bills would have won. All 4 of them would have been upsets.
Who would have thought that 13 seconds would be too much time?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You can't leave any time on the board with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Brady, you can't. You can't do it with Tom Brady either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Bills Chiefs game was by far the best quarterback duel I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. So those that are listening, this is the Tuesday after the Bills Chiefs game. and everyone's still in shock. It's crazy. The divisional round, the best game we've ever seen. It may just end up going down as one of the best postseason games ever.
Yeah.
And just, it was crazy. But yeah, Josh, it was amazing. Just those last 2 minutes.
Yeah, but you know, nobody's talking about Cincinnati. Cincinnati, come on. They didn't just squeak it out. I mean, they came into that game and I like their quote. They just said, who is going to beat us? That's their attitude.
Yeah.
Not a why not us. This is us. And I like it, man. I think they have. I do. I think they get it from their quarterback. I think they've got the chemistry, man, to play Kansas City straight up. And it'll be interesting. Reader in the middle. That guy.
Reader is
goodness.
the big key there.
Dude, he is gonna. Oh, it's gonna be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now again, you've got Hill. Hill is in that whole game last night or Sunday. Hill was that X factor, and he proved it. I mean, he sliced and cut and dashed, and everybody was just like, "Oh no."
Yeah, literally, you gotta like triple team him in the last 2 minutes of the game.
No, that was
you gotta
crazy.
like just smother him.
No, I see him. He catches the dig, and I'm like, okay, there's Micah Hyde, there's Jordan Poyer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer as he just boat races them.
Yeah.
Out, and it's just like,
yeah,
that's something you can't teach.
At that point, you need a track star as a defensive back to be able to compete with him.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just a race to the end zone to be able to tackle him in time.
Since they'll have their game plan. I mean, they're basically going to have their hands full, covering Kelsey, covering Hill, covering Allaire. I mean, they've got a lot. And then you got to think about Mahomes. I mean, that's but of the teams in the AFC that have shown that they can be there, other than the Bills, I'd say Cincinnati was it. They're solid. So
yeah. I'll say this just for an interesting perspective. Can we talk about, as far as a dynasty impact, how insane the AFC is going to be?
Yeah. Yep.
What in what respect?
Well, so let's think about the quarterbacks that are in the AFC. So you have Mahomes and Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You have Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
You have Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
If you don't have a franchise quarterback in the AFC, good luck.
Yeah.
I agree.
That is a good point. Yeah. And
I see the power. I honestly see the power shifting to AFC.
Mm-hmm.
NFC really, I don't think the NFC has anybody out there right now that just goes, ta-da, look at me. You know, it just it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
That was the crazy thing is like this is one thing I do need to research, but I felt like there were so many more injuries the last 2 years than in previous years, like combined.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously that kind of like impacts everyone here, but it just made it to where there was no great teams, and like that like level of uncertainty, I feel like is what I mean, it made the Bills Chiefs game so good because you saw the Chiefs struggle for an entire month. Which brings me back to this question is, how scared were you that Travis Kelce stopped producing?
Oh my, that shocked me. It did because you guys know what, the last handful of years, he was money. You just knew, okay, Kelsey's in there. That's an easy 20, 25, 30 points. I'm not going to worry about it. And this year I was like, oh no, come on, dude, where are you at? And you know, so it is what it is.
87. Does anyone see 87 in the Chiefs uniform?
Yeah. Nope. He is missing.
Around the bar ball.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So I will ask you now, as being our first ever champion, how do you feel about your team going into next season?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Good question, Josh.
I feel good about it. I've got to add, I got to tweak some things. As you guys know, I traded a couple. I did reject the trade that Ethan put forward. Not a bad trade. Wasn't a bad trade. I just
what was
honestly,
the trade?
No, it doesn't matter. It's rejected.
What was the trade?
No, let's bring in the trade.
I
Let's
want
bring
to
in the trade.
hear.
No,
I
it's
want to
rejected.
hear.
It's not relevant. It's not fantasy relevant.
I'll tell you a trade that Josh sent me like 2 days ago.
what was it?
Oh, this is the best.
He sent me a 2023 fifth round pick for Dalvin Cook.
Oh,
Like,
Oh yeah. No, okay. So,
like instant
I-
reject. I'm like, what the heck, dude?
okay. So I first put up. I forgot he put someone other than Dalvin Cook on there. Oh, it was
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks.
good
Yeah,
job.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Cook and Cooks. And so I was like, you know what? Let me throw in Tim Patrick and like a 4th round pick. Like just to see if he thinks it's real, just to be done with it.
Right.
And then as soon as he rejected that, I went, and I saw that Dalvin Cook was there. Oh, I was like, let me just be stupid here. Because I had to shoot in like an hour. And so I put in Dalvin Cook for a 2024 second rounder.
Yeah, and I immediately messaged him and I was like, dude, I know you're messing with me. All right. Like,
Right.
come on, man.
We're not doing that.
I
mean, it's
No, but what was the trade? I want to know.
yeah.
it was Najee for Cup straight up, and then straight up with a first round this next year for who else? Higgins. So it's Higgins and Cup. No, it was Higgins and Najee for Cup and his first round. And I said, nah. I would have taken it. I might have entertained it had it been a first round this year and a first round next year. And the reason I say that is because I think Higgins still has some years producing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Cup will be the money man next year. And Najee, unless he gets hurt, he's going to produce. And that's why I told Ryan when Ryan wanted JT, he's like, no kidding. There was this week that he said, hey Dad, what do you think about sending me JT for, I don't know. I can't remember what it was. And I said, no. And he's like, why? I said, because dude, that my player alone will produce points of 3 guys on another team. And he goes, okay. And no kidding, that week, JT had over 40 points. And I said, that's why I've given him a lot.
Was it?
Yeah. And I tried throwing everything at him.
Yeah, dude. No, wouldn't do it.
And I couldn't.
Because you guys know, I mean, this guy's only been in the league 2 years. So if he stays healthy, I've got a money maker for the next 2 years that I can plug in every week and I don't have to worry about it.
All right, so one win for Najee, right? One win for JT. Can I go for Josh Allen?
Yeah, I tell you what, man, Josh Allen. Guys, aside from fantasy, I love that guy. To me, personally, I think Mahomes is amazing. Tom Brady's As far as the whole package, I think Josh Allen has it. The dude is big. Yeah. He's big like Roethlisberger. He can run faster than Roethlisberger. He can pound. I mean, the guy can put it in his arms and run and take on a linebacker head to head. The guy's amazing.
I've always thought of him as like he's Cam Newton, but who can do more with his arm.
Exactly. He's like a Brett Favre, Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, this, that, and the other, all thrown in together. I'm not going to say he's the greatest. He's not.
Honestly,
but he's a great package.
I would consider him the definition of a generational talent. Like he's
to me, yes, exactly.
He's going to be in Buffalo Herbert for years. Herbert, Herbert is a gunslinger. He's got the arm. He's got the smarts.
Yeah.
I picture him more of like a Rodgers type situation.
Right.
He doesn't have like a big rushing ability. He can. He doesn't utilize it. But he's got the arm, he's got the smarts. But Josh Allen has everything.
Right. Right.
So let's take it
see,
from this.
that's
All right, so
go ahead. Go ahead.
let's have Josh Allen's the unicorn. Mahomes is probably your closest thing to Favre.
Yeah.
Herbert is Rodgers. Lamar is Vic. That's the new age.
Yeah,
I would say you're right. Yeah.
Lamar is Vic. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and and Ryan will tell you, I'm a big pocket passer guy. I like gunslingers. I'm not a big athletic quarterback fan. I like pocket passers. Give me a solid, talented Dallas Cowboys of the 90s offensive line, and you put Garoppolo back there, and I'll eat you alive. Just because my line can give me time. That's just me.
And honestly, like gunslinger pocket passers, they last a lot longer. I mean, look at Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Look at Rodgers. Look at Tom. But look at Tom Brady. Look at Rodgers. Look at Roethlisberger. They've lasted 10 plus years in this league.
Yeah.
When athletic quarterbacks, they don't last very long because they take hits. They take a lot of hard hits because they're running around.
Right.
So,
well, and I think the other side about the athletic quarterback. Now, I'm not the consummate or professional guy that's going to give you all the stats and all that stuff and know all this, but I've watched with athletic quarterbacks something you have to have with your line. Okay, so go back to the traditional pocket quarterback, the guy who doesn't move. You can invest in a line who either run blocks or pass blocks, but these guys are massive and they don't move well. Okay. With an athletic quarterback, you have to have a line that's going to move with him. They've got to be able to adjust. So their size and their speed are all X factors as to who you pick and how well you get them in there. And it's one of those things where that athletic quarterback could change the tide of the game. And we've seen that with the Ravens. My goodness, comes in, takes over the whole game, and you can't stand against it. Okay, great. But when it's bad, it's bad. It's really bad. And there's nothing you can do about it. So I'd rather have a guy that can stand put and depend on my running backs, receivers, and offensive line. I'm just that. I guess it's old school. I don't know. That's just me.
And for Lamar Jackson, they were all hurt this year.
Yeah. And he
So
couldn't do anything with
the
it.
entire Ravens on his back.
Yeah. I totally see what you're saying. I think I feel like the moniker of athletic quarterback or pocket quarterback, I think it kind of died, honestly, about 4 or 5 years ago. Just because I think the athletic standard when it comes to being a quarterback in the NFL is basically like you have to be kind of athletic. And I think basically when Ben retired on the field, for the last 5 years, but overall, I think we're seeing a bunch of quarterbacks showing that you have to have some sort of athleticism, whether it is be to get away from defense or just to like step up in the pocket. Like, so as much as like pocket quarterback is a good thing, especially if they do last a little bit longer. We're seeing, I mean, let's also take it this way. Lamar did get hurt on a drop back, but it was just because his line was trash, unfortunately. So I think, I think something with Ryan and I brought up is we said, hey, we're going to look at some of these like fantasy outlooks based on their O line. That ended up being the truest thing all year.
You're absolutely right. You look at the line, guys. I go back to the 90s Cowboys. There's other teams that are that way. I know they're as good, but just thinking about that for a moment, they invested heavily in this massive line. And oh my gosh, Aikman, he could sit back there for 4 or 5 seconds and the guy never had to run. I mean, he never had to do anything. He could just sit and watch, and one of his receivers came open, boom, there they were. But going with athletic quarterbacks, you go back to Fran Tarkington in the 70s. They won so many games because the guy was elusive. The problem is when they came into the Super Bowl and they came into the championship game, your circle of competitiveness shrunk. So you went from this mediocrity down to the good guys. And when you get into that championship level, those defenses are not anything to play around with. Yeah. And all they had to do was get to the guy. And we saw that with Tom Brady and the Giants. Who's the one team that Tom Brady was always scared of in the championship game? The Giants. Why? Because the Giants did one thing and one thing well. They hit him. They got to him. They threw him off his game, and he was rattled the whole game. And anytime anybody's ever done that, it works. Now, the athletic quarterback, though, can shave some of that off and get away and do splashy things. The problem is he gets to the point where he's always relying on himself. And you go back to Randall Cunningham. He's kind of the one that made that whole thing special. Run and gun, run and shoot. That was the thing. And Randall Cunningham, man, he was a special guy, but did he ever win any major championships? No, he didn't. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
And, and Kyler Murray is a good example of that running gun.
I'm not a fan
of
Kyler Murray. Yeah.
He's got a good arm, but he relies much on his elusiveness.
He does.
I love the ability of Kyler Murray.
I agree.
Scheme. That's
I agree. I agree. You get him on the right team and the right chemistry. Oh my gosh, it'd be scary. But there's always that little bit of that nuance, if you will, of having the right team together. And how many teams franchises have been able to do that?
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes it takes trades.
It does
to get those right teams together.
But again, going back to the pocket quarterback, Tom Brady, come on. I still don't agree that he's the GOAT. I really don't. If anything, he looks like a GOAT. But I don't like the guy. I don't like him, never did. But he comes in from Michigan as a no-name, steps into a game, and the rest is history. And why? Because that team was centered around taking care of the quarterback, and mediocre players, people passing on. I mean, they passed on so many. They put Moss on that team. Yeah, they led the points that year, but they didn't win the championship. I'm not saying they were all mediocre. I'm just saying they put together a team that most people probably would have not put together, but it worked. And it was because the guy could pick you apart.
Well, I mean, look at Tom Brady in New England the last couple of years that he was there.
Yeah.
Look at his wide receiver talent that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They definitely sold out for
no wide receiver talent. And there was wide receiver talent.
Of course. Yes.
It wasn't superstar talent.
Right.
He didn't have a Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. He didn't have people to throw to.
Megatron.
That were amazing.
Yeah.
He threw to regular guys in the NFL. People that some teams would consider them a wide receiver 3 or a wide receiver 2.
Right.
He had very limited talent around him.
Right.
And he won championships.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to say on that. And they did have a great defense the last couple of years he was there.
Mm-hmm.
They had an amazing defense.
Yeah.
But championships aren't won on just the defense alone. You have to do something on offense.
Well, especially with
he was
the
able
rules,
to pull it off.
Yeah, especially with the rules today, and also having the greatest tight end of all time also helps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and but that's also crazy to think about. If you 2001, the first kind of trilogy of Super Bowl wins, that was a defensive team the entire way through.
Mm-hmm.
That 01 defense is probably in the pantheon of at least the top 10 greatest defenses of all time.
Right.
And then, but when you get to 2014, 16, 18, because I can't remember how to count years, that was all just Brady make the play for us, and he ends up making it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also that X factor of seasoned quarterbacks. Okay, when you watch Aaron Rodgers, I the one team he hated playing the Vikings. Hated it because number one, he got hurt, but they didn't respect him, and he could rattle him pretty good, or they could rattle him pretty good. The thing about him is you watch the countenance of his face, and when he was rattled, there was a totally different look than when he was, I'm going to beat you. When he had that I'm going to beat you look, watch out. And Tom Brady's the same way. I saw it happen in that game the other day. he would. I'm very thankful though he went in and out of that look, because there were times he got very frustrated and you could see it. He was not on his game, but when he was, oh my goodness. And the team rallies around that.
See, but here's the problem: is he lost and didn't win another Super Bowl, which means we have to watch him play for another 8 years.
Send him down to the farm, man. I'm tired of that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
So, all right. Besides winning, all right, we're talking about like moments and quarterbacks. So, besides obviously winning the championship, what was your favorite moment this season from a fantasy perspective?
Beating your son.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
we need to add context. Please add context. Please add context.
Yeah. Honestly, guys, I really didn't have a specific moment. I would say,
Really?
it was.
I was gonna say, like, we were both on streaks at that point.
I would say, you're right. You're right, because I was on an 8 game winning streak. You were on a 7.
You were on a 8 or 7. Yeah. And I was like 2 games behind you on a streak.
I think that I would say it was a great moment. Now that I reflect on it, at the time it was shocking, because I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, I watched Richter went from here to here. It was just like, oh, he's in a spiral. I don't know what happened to your team. Nothing against you. It just
I
it
can
was
tell
what
you
it was.
exactly.
Everything against him. No. Everything against him.
Yeah. But I mean, that moment, I think that was the key moment. I did have some trepidation when I faced Ethan, and I just was worried about it, because you never knew. I didn't know what was going to happen in that game or that series, with all of us, and it just turned out good. But if I remember correctly, and I can't remember what game it was, but it came down to the last player, and we were playing. Maybe it was you, Ethan. We were playing on Monday night. We had opposing players.
Yeah, it was a championship game because Najee got the
that's
touchdown
what it
and
was.
sealed it.
It was Najee versus Chubb.
Yep, that's what it was. And I think if I was to classify a moment, that was it, because I was shocked that Chubb produced nothing. He came out with 10 points, and Najee had 40. I was just blown away. And I still only beat you by 10 points?
Yeah, I think
20 points, because you were behind by 10.
Yeah,
at the
that
beginning
was
of the
crazy.
game.
Yeah,
I remember you were behind by 10, and I was and I was sitting there with Ethan, because I think it was me and you, Ethan, that were watching the game.
Yeah, it was just me and you.
Yeah, we were watching the game, and I'm just sitting there going, holy cow, what's going on with Chubb?
Yeah,
like he's not producing anything.
I knew it when the sun is coming up here in Texas, and
it's all right.
I'm trying to avoid it. But I knew that it wasn't going to go well for me when all the hype happened around this being Ben's last game.
Yeah.
As soon as there was that element to the game.
Oh yeah.
You just went, oh,
this is Cleveland. All right. We all know what Cleveland does. They suck when it matters. And you got what you pay for. You have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. It's a loss in the projected column for me.
Yeah, that it was a surprise, because I went to bed. I remember I was just thinking, I got to go to bed, man, because I'm 7 hours in front of you guys. And I just said, I have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring. And I got up the next morning, I opened my phone and I looked and I went, are you kidding me? No way. Yeah. So
that's why I went to bed that night. I messaged him and I was like,
watching that game,
congratulations, champion.
Watching that game, me and Ryan were together. We were still in Colorado, and we were just sitting there. Like, every time they gave Nick Chubb the ball, he just ripped it. Ripped.
And then they just stopped giving it to him.
Yeah, and they just stopped giving it to him. I think that is the worst scripted game I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's up there for me, honestly.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, you also have to bring in the X factor too. And that is in the real life outside of fantasy, there is that psychological matchup between the Browns and the Steelers. And like you said, when they come together, it doesn't matter what field. The Steelers have always owned them. And it's almost like, okay, can we beat them? And no matter what coach you put in, it's almost like the feeling in the city is this is what's expected to happen. Denver, the Browns, same situation. Denver beat the Browns forever. And every time they play, it's like the Browns don't even show up. It's just weird.
Yeah. But it is what it is. It was a really good matchup. And I truly believe that I had the only team that could beat you.
You betcha. I agree. I agree.
As far as ceiling, I would agree with that.
Yep.
If I had a healthy team,
no.
Yes.
No.
Oh, sorry, Ashley's team.
Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat.
Because I beat him before. Because I beat him.
But we both had something stuck in our throat. But go ahead.
But see, I think also in that game, if I remember correctly, Thielen and Higgins came up empty.
Yeah.
They dropped eggs, and I went, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, for Ethan, DK.
Yeah.
Sorry, Richter, go ahead.
He said DK. DK just showed up. He put up
That's what worried
points?
me. Yeah, that's honestly what worried me was DK, because I was talking with Ethan that Sunday. I was like, dude, Ethan told me, I was like, I need DK to get 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he scored 1 touchdown, and he scored the second one, and Ethan was like looking over at me like, like, dang, no, like, oh my gosh.
And then he scored the third that woke Ryan up.
We may need to go through our text, because I went, oh my goodness, DK has 3.
Yeah. And again, with Higgins and Thielen not showing up, it came down to Najee putting up. Literally, he had to put up 40 points in order to win. I mean, that's just nuts. I don't know.
I mean, the other thing with it too was like, obviously, like my quarterback absolutely died on me. I started Lamar's backup, and he only got me 13. And then now, at least, you know what? The lesson I'm taking away from losing is kicker matchups are important.
You bet.
Matt Gay scored me 1 point.
They are.
So for every single week next week, the first thing I'm looking at is kicker matchups.
You know what?
Is my kicker going to
Listen, dude, that comes down to it. Every
bit.
single game, they may only produce 4 or 5 points, or they may produce your defense may produce 4 or 5 points, but those 4 or 5 points will matter. And that's why I changed from suck up, because I saw him. He just kind of was going, and I said, I got to get another kicker, man. Got to get another kicker. And same with defense. I was surprised, though, when I switched from Philly to the Titans and the Titans dropped an egg. I just went, what? And that's just how it was. So
I had the weird thing. I had the Dallas defense all year. Like, it was just plug and play. But I was so nervous because I was like, look, if I don't get the turnovers, you're getting -4.
Right.
But luckily I had Tucker to kind of like fill in the gap. But Ryan, we need to turn Ethan finding a kicker into a bit. That's what needs to happen next year.
Gay, man. Gay's the man. Yeah. He's got it. No, who's the kid that's money? Was he on Cincinnati?
McPherson.
McPherson. Money McPherson, man. The dude, I mean, right down the middle every time.
Championship, bro.
Well,
that's
and I saw somebody post a picture of Joe Burrow and McPherson, and the caption was, "This is why you draft a kicker." It was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Raiders took Janikowski so many years ago with their #1 pick. But the reality was the guy played for them forever, and he was always a good field goal kicker.
Yeah.
But they never had a team to back him up, though, which was sad.
Yeah.
So.
They just have a team, period.
That whole championship game, though, kind of getting back to it, like it was awesome. I think that was like one of the more fun games that I've played in fantasy. It was frustrating, just the willpower of your running backs. But because JT did really good. He put up like 26, I think. Devin Singletary put up 30. Sonny Michel put up 30, and then obviously G put up 40.
You mentioned thrilling. And I have to say, it was really funny from week to week. I'm like, man, I only got 4 slots I can put these guys in. And all of them could produce an easy 15 points.
Yeah.
And I knew if I can get them all, if I could play every slot running backs, I would have been fine. But that wasn't the case. So,
well, and if you would have traded out one of them, I can't remember what it was, but I remember thinking like, okay, you know, if he would have put this guy in his flex instead of this guy, then you wouldn't have that problem. Like you wouldn't have been down 10 points.
I kid you not.
You know, that last game wouldn't have been Najee versus Chubb. It would have been, you know, oh, if Najee scores like 5 points in this game, you know, Chubb's not going to be able to come back from that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But it ended up being thrilling, you know, with that matchup. So,
well, not so much because the Steelers own the Browns. But
no, that meant not the matchup.
Was thrilling.
Your guys' matchup.
Yeah. No. I that's what I'm saying too. Is the idea was thrilling, but the Steelers it's like you said, Steelers own the Browns, and that's just what it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
I honestly, what makes it okay for me is I got what I really wanted, which was revenge on Jacob and Tyler.
The friends we made along the way.
Huh?
The friends we made along the way. Now, I'll tell you, my favorite moment is still Ashley being Ryan. That's still my favorite moment.
Yeah.
But at least with y'all's championship game, like week 17, I'm like, all right, that's pretty good redemption for whatever week 15 was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Ashley was the one that actually knocked me out of the first seed. And
you know what I want to know
all my injuries and everything
is I want to know this husband and wife scenario. What was he doing to manipulate her lineup and get her set up, and did she really manage it? Or
let's
all right, so here's the thing. She drafted completely. I didn't make.
No. All right, I want to make a statement on this because I've been meaning to for a while. Okay, this is what it is. Okay?
All right,
let me break down this relationship. Okay, Richter opens his mouth and the heavens part, okay? And the voice of fantasy comes through. Because it happened to Ryan too. Ryan is like his second wife, all right? But the voice of fantasy comes through. And it's all this knowledge, all this stuff that's going on in the NFL, and it's really good stuff. But Richter thinks too much, which is why he loses all the time. And so Ashley
that's right. No, trust me.
Ashley then comes through with all of this knowledge and says, okay, this is what I'm doing, and then beats the pants off of people.
Yeah.
Ashley 100% making decisions. I guarantee it. I'm not around them, but I guarantee she makes the final decisions based off of the knowledge that Richter freaking spews. But
we have had the Richter couple in 2 fantasy leagues in 2 years.
Yeah.
And every year Ashley's up here and Josh is down here.
I got to tell you, I got such a kick out of watching Josh because he drafts. We're in the draft and he's like, I'm gonna get this guy and this guy's gonna do this. And so he puts his team together, and the first week dudes are getting traded and things, and all year it's like Richter. And I'm thinking, man, he's moving people like it's a shell game. We're just gonna move them around.
Now, so I'll tell you my issue. So one was believing in Fitzmagic. That was problem number one.
Well,
but really, what killed me more than anything was Allen Robinson. Like the fact that he just straight up died. And so that's where I was able, when I shipped him off to get Kittle, that completely changed the outlook of my team more than getting the McCaffrey trade, which McCaffrey did win me. Trade. Yeah. He did. Like McCaffrey won me at least 3 games until he got hurt. And then that's where I went, all right, Michael Carter, Antonio Gibson. And Antonio Gibson, I still feel like is good, but it's just, I have issues with the Washington staff, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But
I think next year he'll bounce back. He'll be fine.
Yeah, but I called my shot on Michael Carter, and I'm happy I was right on that at least.
That was honestly one of the biggest surprises this year for me is Michael Carter. You know, that Jets committee back situation where they had like 4 backs that could all do something and was all listed on the depth chart
and the injury report.
And then exactly. And then all of a sudden it's like the seas parted and here comes Michael Carter and it's like, oh hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
So he's done great. And honestly, like if they were smart, they would use him, like keep him in a lead role.
Right.
But I think they will. I think part of the problem was basically all the receivers got hurt, from Elijah Moore to Corey Davis. So it was like
speaking of that,
which hey, someone dropped Elijah Moore and I picked him up, and that was like one of the best moves I made there too.
Yeah.
So I got those two. I am fascinated with Rashad Penny right now because I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. But if I had the guts to start him, I think I'd be in the playoffs because I lost basically to however many points Rashad Penny scored.
Right.
But overall, like my team was just kind of killed by injuries. Like I don't know if anyone saw it, but like by the end, literally by the time you and I played the second time, literally injury. Like my bench is injury. Oh yeah, COVID, injury.
Yep.
And that's what I've dealt with the past 2 years in both of the keeper leagues.
Now you kept McCaffrey, didn't you?
Yeah, I did keep McCaffrey.
See, and that's the thing. I mean, we're going to come back next year. He's going to be money. He's there. Who was the tight end that I picked up? Who was the tight end that I picked up for the Vikings?
Irv Smith.
Irv Smith.
Yeah. Oh,
See, I picked up Irv Smith, and then I dropped him. And then towards the end of the year, it was like, oh wow, he's still there. I'm going to pick him up, and hopefully he'll be something next year. But you never know.
I dropped him because I had too many people hurt. So as soon as I saw you pick it up, I was like, no. Yeah. So that's when I picked up the Trout himself, Adam Troutman. And so that's what I texted Ethan. It's like, hey, if you ever wanted Huntley, now's your time to get him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
Crazy.
No. So I have a rant coming soon about McCaffrey and why the injuries are not his fault.
We have a lot of rants coming. We have the CMC rant. We have the NFL reffing rant.
Yeah.
We've got to space out those rants.
Hey, we need to do just a special episode of rant cuts that Josh brings on. He just let him run.
Yeah. The Vikings rant. We have to do.
I can do that.
Yeah. No.
So what's going to happen with the draft this year? What is the draft leaning towards? Who's going to be what group is going to be the biggest pool in the draft?
It's trenches this year.
TBH, yeah. I haven't even done my research on it, so I haven't.
Real NFL draft.
Yeah, as the Ravens fan who is completely uncertain of how the team is going to look ever since the defensive coordinator decided, deuces, I'm out. Right now it's a trenches draft. So O-line, D-line, that's where I mean, Ryan, how we viewed it last year, I think the same exact way is going to be good. There are quite a few, there's at least 3 or 4, hey, these are legitimate receivers. Yeah. But the issue is one of them tore their ACL in national championship game, Jamison Williams. And then on top of that, running backs aren't that great this year. There's only one that's really good, and I'm pretty sure he's going to go 101 in the rookie draft.
Yeah.
If not, I'm taking him with the 102. That's just going to be the reality there. Because my lesson from this year is you can never have too many running backs.
That's true.
That's why I traded for one, Dad.
And Singletary looked pretty good. And
Singletary, he's going to be a good back. When you asked me for him, I honestly would have never let him go had I not had Najee and JT. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
because he's going to be a good back.
Yeah, and why I went for him instead of some of your other backs, because you have a ton of them on there.
Yeah,
I went for him because I have Zach Moss. So I already have his backup.
Yeah, had Zach Moss worked out good, it would have been good too. So
so I was like, I mean, if I'm gonna have Zach Moss on my team, I might as well go for Singletary and have the backfield. I have Ramondre Stevenson and what's his name?
Damian Harris.
Harris. Yeah, Damian Harris.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so I have New England's backfield and the Bills' backfield.
Yeah.
Just as
Not too.
insurance.
I got all the Jets rookies, and then
They're
I
good,
will
man.
say I'm happy. I know I lost Debo, like that still hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Mooney and Ayuk, I think I'm happy with that.
I honestly, I think out of that trade, you got the better of the deal. I feel because Mooney, very young, a lot of talent. If they get the right coach in there, he's going to do really well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's Dayball.
Ayuk,
Ayuk's gonna be around for a while.
Debo Samuel has transitioned to more of a running and like a rushing role. Like he's rushing the ball more than he's catching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that leads, Ayuk to having like more touches or more targets downfield because he's the number one wide receiver at that point. So
yeah.
Shoot.
Part of me thinks this is going to be like Debo's usage is going to be once in a generation type of deal, just because you can't put so much on Debo, but this is like, it's been really fun. But I mean, we also have to talk about Elijah Mitchell got hurt most of the year. Then Mostert was out literally the first play of week 1.
That's another one. Yeah.
And
Mostert,
apparently, and Trey Sermon is in the 8th layer of hell right now in Kyle Shanahan's world. And so when you combine that, like literally when that Monday night game against the Rams, when they brought that out, that completely paradigm shift the Niners season there.
Yeah.
But that's where it's like, I've always been a big Ayuk supporter, so I knew it was like, okay, it's really bad right now, but I can buy low on him everywhere else. And that's kind of what I did on a bunch of leagues.
Yeah.
All the redraft leagues, it didn't help, but Dynasty, I was like, I have to do this move.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I was willing to give him up for what I got, with Cook and Samuel, just because everybody's high on Samuel right now. And I was making a championship run.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that never happened.
It never happened. I ended up getting 5th.
Yeah.
In the league.
Well, he did throw a game, so that's pretty shameful too.
I threw 2 games.
The commissioner threw a game.
He did.
Oh boy.
He did.
Game, everyone.
Chicago White Sox. Here we go.
I was shocked that he. Well, I can't say I was shocked because he was really gambling for a top draft pick.
No, if I'm not going to make it into the championship, I might as well bottom out the league.
I'm
going to bottom out the league. No.
All right, we're making a new rule, Ethan.
That's terrible. No. Terrible.
We can make a rule. We can make a rule against it if everybody believes that was wrong.
No, that's all right. So that's one episode we need to make over. We need to grab everybody and we need to be like, all right, propose your rule changes to the league.
I think we should do that during the draft.
That's
I think we should do that during the draft. Like have a little like pre-session and be like, get out the gavel.
I have 2 rules. Okay. Ryan needs self-respect, and Richter is only allowed 1 hour to think about fantasy football. Those are the 2 rules.
He's an overthinker. Yep, an overthinker.
Yeah. Richter gets, he gets waiver limits.
Yeah.
And he can only trade so many players in a season.
Okay, first off, I didn't even trade that many players in the season. That was not that much. It was really just 2 big trades, and that was it. One of them got me Kittle, and the other got me CMC. So don't care.
Yeah.
But I mean, I need the IR. I need IR slots.
Yeah.
That's really what I need.
Yeah,
because
I remember IR slots would be good.
And you just picked up Cortland Sutton too.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah,
that was a good trade.
because Aaron Rodgers is going to head over to Denver.
I was going to say, like,
you think he'll go to
that's
Denver?
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that is another podcast.
Yeah, that would be good.
But that's the prediction. Yes.
I think he's going to San Francisco, but that's okay.
Oh man, if you're going to put you're putting
really.
Hey, he's from Cal.
I can see it.
He's from Cal.
True.
Why not retire there? Either that, or he's going to go to the Vikings and he's going to stick it to the Packers.
That would be a big middle finger to the Packers.
That would be the biggest middle finger, but him. honestly, so the only reason I said Denver was because they're interviewing the Packers offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
which I know he has had a great relationship with.
Yeah.
And you already have Judy Hamler, Cortland Sutton, and then Tim Patrick there with Noah Fant. So you're like, okay.
And Javante, you know, you have
Yeah,
a very young
Javante
team.
and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
O-line's kind of solid. So it's like, all right, it's kind of there.
Uh-oh, where'd my dad go?
But, oh, we lost him. Wait, no,
No, we're
he's
good.
back.
We're good.
Okay,
I just had a visitation. So
gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Paul is in prison right now.
yeah.
German
Yeah.
prison.
Guys,
Yeah.
you're too much.
But
So
he's got a lot of offensive weapons there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's possible, but man, Minnesota, if that happens to Green Bay twice,
I was gonna say,
oh boy, we're gonna have some discussion there.
Hey,
following in
Brett
Favre's
Favre can do it,
footsteps.
Yeah,
if Brett Favre can do
But-
it.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm shocked looking at the candidates the Vikings are looking at for coach, and they didn't have Eric Bieniemy in there. I was blown away. I was like,
They're-
"Are you
they're-
kidding me?"
they
So
they may.
Honestly, and
It doesn't look like Bieniemy has taken any interviews
No,
yet, so I
no.
wonder if it's
Yeah.
he's waiting
Well,
till after the
don't
year.
they don't with the championship run.
Yeah,
because
that's true. That's a good point. But I
when-
think Eric Bieniemy, I had an opportunity to meet the guy one time. In fact, it was because I was working at Apria Healthcare. I
Really?
went by his house to take his son at the time. His son was a toddler, and he had allergy issues, and went by there, and I just remember when he at the time he was he was third string running back for the Patriots, and I went in there and I said, "You're Eric Bieniemy," and he's all, "Yeah." And I said, "Dude, I watched you at Colorado," and he says, "Man, I loved watching you play for the Eagles." And I said, "What's it like though, being third string?" And he says, "Dude, I love it. I don't have all the pressure." He goes, "That pressure was so much to deal with." And I can imagine. I mean, I don't know, man. That would just be nuts to have everybody that you know on top of the people who only think they know you telling you what you should be doing. And when you let them down, man. So he said, "I love it. I can get out there. I'm healthy. I don't have to worry about it." So the guy's solid. He'll make a great coach, man. Great coach.
Yeah.
Well, I know last year when the Falcons were trying to get Arthur Smith, they had to wait until the Tennessee lost in the championship game before they interviewed him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't
they're
want
not
Dan
gonna-
Quinn. I just don't want Dan Quinn.
No.
Dan
No,
Quinn is
no,
defensive
no,
guy,
no.
but he's not a head coach. Just
No,
No.
Dan. All right,
What do you
Dan
think?
Quinn's notoriety is from Kyle Shanahan
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah.
And what do you think about Kellen Moore?
You know, I'm not familiar enough with Kellen Moore, but I think he's good. I think he's, like I said, I don't know a lot, but I understand that he's a good guy. So
I will tell you, if my choice was Kellen Moore or Eric Bieniemy, I'm giving my left kidney to Eric Bieniemy in a heartbeat.
True.
Like at this point,
Oh,
I'm sending the Brinks truck to Eric Bieniemy's house
Yeah.
right now
Yeah, I
if I'm
agree.
if I'm the Vikings,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
have top receiver, a top running back.
Yeah.
Your O-line's really solid, which is something
Yeah.
we do need to talk about. He could make Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins work until Kellen Mond is better,
but
or you just go get your guy.
there's talk right now of trading him to the Panthers.
They need it because all right, so that's all. Yeah, all right. You know what? We might do the CMC rant now, but
no.
we don't.
But I have to get him.
no.
I have to get
We
off
don't
in
have
10
time.
minutes, guys.
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
get
We
off
don't
in
have
10
time.
minutes. So
We don't have time.
Yeah, okay. I won't. But
we may
trust me.
have him on a little later. So
But I will say Matt Rule needs a quarterback now, or he's getting
Yeah.
fired in year 3.
Yeah.
Especially after you seeing Nick Sirianni. All right, that's one take I had that backfired in my face. I'm kind of happy about it. Nick Sirianni is actually a really good coach, and completely
Yeah.
changing the team into a wild card team. Well done. So Nick Sirianni, I'll eat crow for that one.
yeah.
I'll say
Man.
the last thing I kind of want to do here, I'm going to throw a curveball for you guys. So last half of the year, we've been doing a little predictions, but I kind of want you to do kind of a initial way too early prognostication for next season. So we do a thing, our bust, sleeper, and lock of the year. Who is your bust for next year, your sleeper for next year, and your lock for next year?
Wow. Sleeper is Richter.
Oh, no, players.
For players.
I was like,
Now,
let's do the league.
We'll do the fantasy teams. We'll do the fantasy teams too, though. We'll have to get you on for that one.
Yeah.
Man.
That's actually a good idea. We should do that.
That is a great idea.
Okay, but I'm going to throw it out since I'm already thinking that. So Richter's the sleeper. I think it'll be the bust will probably be either me or Ethan. And I think either Michaela, Ryan, or Ashley. Maybe. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. I like that.
I think they had good teams. I just think that Ethan and I were at the top and we tasted it, but that was because this season our players did amazing. Now, if our players do amazing next year, okay, it's all off. So I just don't trust fantasy yet. So
yeah, we'll kiss again in the friendship bowl.
I think a lock.
Okay.
You want to go or okay?
No, you go.
All right. So I think my lock is Ethan. He's been a top competitor every year that I've played against him. He's had a great, I think between him and Tyler, they have both, every year that I've played with them, they have had very good teams. Dynasty, it kind of fluctuates up and down, so he could, have a down year. Sleeper, I'm calling Phillip.
Yeah, because he has Cam Akers coming in next year.
He's getting Cam Akers and Derrick Henry back.
Yeah.
And he's got Justin Herbert. He's got Jefferson. He's got
his team's nice.
Fairly solid team. He's even got Mike Thomas.
Okay.
Like, he's got a solid team. They were just all injured this year. So I think sleeper would be Phillip or challengers on our team. Bust? I don't know. I honestly don't know who would be a bust on our team or in our league. Shoot.
I got mine if you want me to say mine right now.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm just gonna put X as mine.
I'll tell you. So my bust, and I don't think it's gonna be that big of a bust, but it's a playoff team. It's Jacob Duran's team, because I think his receivers, if nothing, I think we thought his receivers were a strength, but I think it may get interesting with how next year goes.
Right.
Sleeper, I won't say myself, but sleeper, Phillip, I 100% agree on. And then I have to go with the big man himself as the lock, just because that team. How do we let you get Najee and JT on the same team, and then Josh Allen's still really young? All you have to do is draft one really good receiver or find one in a trade, and then you're good to go. Maybe you have to worry about tight end, but tight end's already a crapshoot. So
Chris Godwin is on the trade block. Just saying.
Yeah, I would also entertain trading away one of those running backs for a couple of number ones. So that's the thing. I need to ensure that I have good picks. Yeah,
I've got number one picks and Chris Godwin if you want.
So Ethan can give me his 3 number ones over the next 3 years. I'd be all right.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Plus
that is a lot. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is not just. That's the future of his team.
I know.
Like, my gosh.
Hey, Paul, no, really quickly, Paul, while we're at it, would you like my left testicle?
Yeah.
Would you like finger?
No.
Would you like?
I don't need your left testicle. I've got 2 already. Maybe your eye. That might work.
I'm gonna sell my firstborn. Sell my firstborn.
No, I just say that because if I've got money in those guys now, I know I'll have money in them the next couple of years, and it's got to be worth it. I know that's astronomical. I'm not being serious about that, but it's one of those things. It's got to be a worthy trade, and I'm not a believer.
It's got to be worthy, yeah.
It does, and I don't know. It would be cool to sit down and talk about it, but again, that's given the fact that there were so many running backs hurt this year.
Yep.
And if those running backs on your teams were not hurt, we'd be talking a different tune right now.
That's why having a stable of not only backups, but of other number one running backs. Like I'm tempted to trade for Madison.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Philip never answering any of my messages on here,
right,
I would probably have Madison right now. But
I mean, I would do the
he's
same
never
thing
answered any of my
trades.
trades.
Hubbard.
Yeah.
But like, I have DeAndre Swift's backup. I have Singletary's backup. I have Harris's backup.
Yeah.
Like, I have my running backs are injury proof. Like, I have their backups just in case.
Absolutely.
Because I can't. I've had that happen. And it's ruined my season. And when it's a redraft league, that's terrible. It sucks when it happens in redraft. But Dynasty, you can recover from that because it's year after year. But it sucks when it happens to you. And that's why I've had it happen before. I'm not letting that happen again.
Yeah.
So I always draft the backups.
That's really what it was this year is you either made the smart pickups with running backs or didn't go very far. Like I did that with Cleveland. I went all the way down to Dearness Johnson and winning football games. Having to deal with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt all year was a headache. But
and to be honest with you,
I almost traded that.
I almost made that mistake at quarterback because I had Josh Allen. But if Josh Allen came up injured, I had nobody. And so Garoppolo got me through one game. He scored 21 points or something, and that was enough. But man,
that's how I was with Lamar. Lamar got injured and sick, and there's no recovery.
I'll give a quick horror story real quick. So this year, I was in another keeper league. I had Lamar, Eckler, Antonio Gibson. I did a straight up trade for Nuke for Justin Jefferson.
Wow.
Middle of the year. I was 11-2. Lamar gets hurt. And then my tight end and Antonio Gibson with Lamar combined for 6 points in round 1. And that was it.
Wow.
So I lost first round there. That's why I want to look up injuries just because like that has completely wrecked my season for the last 3 years now.
Yeah.
And it was amazing while we were.
My picks.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, we got to do.
Ethan, go.
Go ahead.
All right. As tough as it is to say, because this person is very good in redraft, for next year specifically, this is just a prediction, but I think Ryan will be a bust. Okay. Ryan is going to bust next year. Because nobody wants to trade him. And he's a big baby who throws games. Anyways, my sleeper, I actually think is Ashley. I do agree with Philip, but I like Ashley as a sleeper for next year. She's always sneaky, dangerous, and makes good decisions. Lock is really hard.
That's a tough one.
I think Paul's probably a lock. I think I agree with Rick here. Paul's probably a lock with JT unless he gets injured.
Yeah.
That's the one thing though. Is like if you have JT, you're a lock. Without JT, you're in the way.
Yeah. But again, they could get rid of Wentz and end up with another quarterback and have it all. So you never know.
I wouldn't say my team's a lock though, just because I think my team will be good, but I wouldn't say a lock for sure.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
I can't even say my team's a sleeper. I don't know. I bet big on quarterback, so that's kind of where I'm hoping for.
So and I think I have a solid team.
Yeah.
It's just if I can keep them healthy.
So here's
Yeah,
the
that's the
question
big
for when
thing.
we come to the draft for our fantasy, for our league here. I know we have to make room on our rosters. So we got to drop people.
You have to drop however many draft picks you have.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have to take the full complement. You can actually let go of draft picks, correct? Or you have to draft all those positions. And so to make those positions, you have to drop the players.
Well, there's another
See,
thing you could do with the draft picks, but
okay.
I will not mention what you could do.
So this is one thing that I'll send out to the group, because I don't know. I've talked with Josh about it. He's kind of against it because we already have such a big roster, but it's something called a taxi squad, which is however many draft picks you have.
Yeah.
You have that many slots available, and your draft picks go into that taxi squad for a year.
Okay.
And if they end up doing really well that first year, you can pull them out whenever you want.
Yeah.
But you cannot put them back in. So it's kind of like a holding box for all your draft picks.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So after that first year, you have to pull those guys out or put them back on the waivers after that first year.
But I don't like the idea of having a full complement of draft picks of people waiting in a I think that you could limit the number and
it's only
have them in there.
Well, it's only like five.
That makes sense.
However many draft picks you have, because if you only have one draft pick, you traded away all your draft picks.
Yeah.
You have a taxi squad of one.
Yeah.
Like
that's a good point.
If you have all of your draft picks except one,
yeah,
then you only have one taxi squad.
Right. See, because the reason I say that is I have a squad that's really solid and I have some solid backups. And now I'm having to say, okay, wait a minute. These aren't contractual issues that I've got to let guys go because they're at the end of a contract. I'm looking at a situation where I have to drop them and they could be solid next year. And I'm taking a risk on a draft pick, or I don't even get to draft at all. Does that make sense?
I may bring it up during the draft. Just we have such a large roster that we might not need a taxi squad.
Yeah.
May not. Yeah.
In a situation where you do have a very talented roster and you bring in rookies where they may be busts and you gave away, or you dropped
an established player,
an established solid player,
right?
That could have done really well or did really well this year. But you had to drop him because you drafted another player.
See, now
I don't want to sacrifice that.
This is something I would be up for. And guys, I have to get off here in about 5 minutes, but here's an idea. And I don't know if there's any way we can do it, but let's say you do have a solid roster, but you could drop 6 guys. If all of us had 6 people we could give away, and we just go into this open trading area where, hey man, I'll take this guy, you get this guy, and you get this guy, and you can take care of that. Granted, you could take care of that in trades, but if it was a pool that you would just give a price for that guy, and if he never moved and nobody ever took him, you can pull him back onto your team. But if you got a draft pick for him for down the road, you could do that. So instead of getting one for this year, you'd get one for 2 years from now. Does that make sense? And I know we could still do that. It's going to take, but right now when we're trading, we're only being able to trade with 1, maybe 2 people versus a group. Say, hey, let's throw all our guys into this bucket. Anybody wants them, you can take them, but there's a price.
You can actually
see what you do. Oh, go ahead. Josh.
I was about to say you can pull off 3+ team trades in Sleeper,
but
so that's possible.
But also, I think what you're thinking can be done on here.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to put them on the trade block, like I did.
Yeah.
So it's like putting them up for sale. And
do that,
anybody can look at them and they know that they're for sale because they're on the trade block. So you just go through your roster and go, this guy's on the trade block, this guy's on the trade block, this guy. And if they don't go,
if they don't move, that's fine.
If they don't move, then cool.
Okay.
Then you can drop
do that.
them.
Because I don't care about getting a draft pick this year. I may want one 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. And that would be fine. So Okay.
So
Cool.
if you have any valuable players, you can put them on the trade block.
Well,
see
it
what
would
you
be
can
more
get.
for me. More for me, it's making room. It's guys that are average
Yeah.
that I know I can
Yeah.
plug in on a an off weekend, and I'll get some points out of them.
Yeah.
But if I kept them, I'm still going to be okay. So
Well, and that's what I'm kind of doing with Brandon Cooks, and
Yeah.
Chris Godwin. I'm putting them out there to see
Hey, I offered
what
it.
I can get. I put them out there to see what I could get from them. I
Yeah.
actually have a trade offer for Chris Godwin and Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
That's
Might
pending.
have another.
That's pending, but I'm fielding offers to see what I could get.
Yeah.
And if they go, cool. That's that's one less person that I can take, put on the waiver wires at the end of the year or drop. So I want to keep my squad intact for as long as I can.
Right.
I mean, if we can find a way to like maybe combine IR and taxi, I'd be down for it. Just
Well, because
because
we don't have IR.
I wish we did, because I lost Irv Smith being one good example, but I lost so many people this year that I lost a lot of good players I couldn't use again. So like that, I mean, that's my only reason for anti. I'm starting to be more open on taxi,
Mhm.
but
Just because
that's
it
definitely something we could
provides,
talk about later.
because it provides like a limbo
Right.
for these rookie players, because you don't know how they're going to pan out in the first year. Like Justin Jefferson, I dropped him in one of my leagues his first year.
Right.
I dropped him after like 4 games, right before he blew up. I dropped him, and it was like, why did I drop him? It's because I didn't have room on my roster for him.
Right.
And he wasn't producing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to drop him. And then somebody else picked him up when he blew up. So, it sucks, but I don't want that to happen to our players. If we draft somebody, that's value that we're investing in somebody on our roster, and to drop him because one of our players gets injured and we don't have room on our roster to pick up his backup. Oh crap. Well, this guy isn't producing. So I have to drop this guy. And then who knows, next year
But the
he
discussion
could blow out.
That's also
He could blow
fantasy
up.
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
discussion
So I think we should probably just wrap up here. I
Yeah.
think this is a good stopping point. But
This is fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed
So
it. I'd like
Josh,
to do this again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we have to get you on more.
Honestly,
Be fun.
I loved having you on here, and I know the time difference. For those of you that don't know, he is in Germany, so time difference is a
call the pastor.
little big.
Yeah.
But Josh, if you want to go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, so I know we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but trust me, we are still working behind the scenes. Like we said earlier in the episode, we literally started out every quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, defense. We're going to be taking a look at all of them, see if we can find any trends to help us out within the coming seasons. One, again, let's say our congratulations to our first champion, Paul Traver, on a great season, and going to be a fierce competition next season. We will be posting soon. We're figuring out our episode order right now and kind of what to do from there. So don't forget, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Now, as far as the 2021 season, this basically concludes it. So we will see y'all next season.
Bye.